Welcome one and all to Last Stop Penn Station podcast featuring Cary Silkin and Ian Riccoboni. They dive deep into Cary's wealth of stories, and no subject is off limits. From the world of wrestling to his ticket agency, growing up in New Jersey, drug-fueled underground days, hustling in the French Quarter of New Orleans, and endless days and nights in New York City, every story is worth telling.
Hello, everyone, and welcome to Last Stop Penn Station. Ian Riccoboni, Cary Silkin. Glory by honor in the books, Cary. Last week, so much fun to be at the 2300 Arena.
Oh, yeah. That was great.
Yeah.
2 big nights.
Huge.
Title match Friday, Bandito keeping the belt against Flip Gordon. And then Saturday night, that crazy cage match.
It was wild. This was the first time I think I've ever cursed on air officially. I had an involuntary "God damn it." I was afraid for Vincent at one point with the barbed wire to the eye. That was pretty wild.
I was afraid for Vita Von Star.
Oh my goodness! Yeah, this we talk about her Cirque du Soleil background, but
I told that to AJ.
And she's a very accomplished athlete and performer in that, but. You don't train to land on thumbtacks.
Including Todd Sinclair.
Oh, jeez, yeah. He's picking him out of his knees and his butt and he had him all over the place. Well, I'll tell you what, we had a lot of fun. We're going to be back there September the 12th, Death Before Dishonor. The tickets go on sale, I believe, today as you're listening. Friday, yeah. So as we're recording, it's a Tuesday, but as you hear this, 10 a.m. for Honor Club members, 10 a.m. Eastern. The pre-sale code's on Ring of Honor's Twitter. So if you're an Honor Club member, you just get that code.
And if you're not an Honor Club member, you should be.
Yeah. I mean, you get all the archives, which has a lot of the man we're going to talk about today. But it also has all the live events, and we're kicking back steam. Cary, you've known Roger at the 2300 Arena for a long time. And it was exciting to hear Roger say that our attendance for these two events beat December 2019, beat July 2019. We have some momentum right now in Ring of Honor.
Yeah, we do. And we're coming back right to Philly. Mm-hmm. So please join us in Philadelphia. I mean,
we know we're asking a lot. It's the
birthplace of RoH, and there's tons of fans, and we provide, there's a lot. Wrestling is in the news these days between AEW, WWE, and RoH, and Impact, and New Japan, and this and that. Mm-hmm. But you look at the Ring of Honor roster, and I looked at it. All right? Yeah. I'm going off track here a little, but I was looking at another company. I'll say their name, whatever. Mm-hmm. They're not a bad company, MLW. And I was looking at RoH, and maybe I'm missing something. Maybe I'm uninformed. Maybe I'm too old. Maybe I'm not cool enough. But the Ring of Honor roster it blew away what I saw in MLW, unless there's something I don't know. And what I do know is what I saw this weekend. Yeah.
From top to bottom, no matter where you look on the card, we have the best wrestling on the planet. And it's really exciting to have the fans come back, and we appreciate the fans coming back to validate what we were feeling in the bubble. We had the feeling in the bubble that we were doing something special, and at the minute the world opened back up a little bit, we were hoping the fans would respond, and they did. And I know we're asking a lot in Philly. We're asking for a third night.
We're going to do fine.
Yeah, and if you're an Honor Club member, half price tickets, because we appreciate you. And that's available, I believe, for 1 week. So make sure to log on.
It was strange. Friday night, it dawned on me, like into the first or second match, that this was only the second event where we had live people.
Yeah.
We had peoples at the show.
More than one person.
Right.
Yes. Yeah.
And which was nice. And hopefully that will continue with the way the world is.
Yeah. The vaccines, masks, Do it so we can do more of this. That's all.
Yes, the FDA approved the Pfizer vaccine in case anybody was using that as an excuse.
Right. Full approval.
Full approval. And get vaccinated. If you don't even want to do it for yourself, do it for your family and friends.
Yeah, absolutely. And we've had an exciting time in Ring of Honor. We talked about Death Before Dishonor. I can't believe we're 4 months away from Final Battle. That'll be here before we know it. And
hold on.
Please,
hold on,
please,
hold on. Considering you watched Last Night in Miami multiple times, I have a follow-up piece.
Sure.
We watched AJ and I last night, and it came out of left field because it just was put on Netflix. It was a Dick Cavett, Muhammad Ali.
Yeah.
It was a documentary about their relationship, their friendship, and it also it was very well done. It wove Ali's history into it. And we're talking 68, 69, 70, 71, and through the 70s. And there were alternatives. There was Johnny Carson and The Tonight Show and Merv Griffin. But Ali and Dick Cavett sort of hit it off. And he was on there, I don't know, a dozen times during his career. And it was absolutely fascinating. From the time when, and Dick Cavett talked about how and Dick Cavett felt embarrassed to say this. He goes, there was a time when I thought, Muhammad Ali, might have been brainwashed by Malcolm X. And he was sort of just reading a script, which he was in a way. Because he was just quoting the Malcolm X and the Elijah scriptures. And but then Dick Cavett changed his mind as time went on. And then they went on, past the Vietnam, through Ali not joining the military, onto when he was stripped of the title. And then he had 3 years. He was out of action for 3 years, and there was a tournament which Joe Frazier, Jimmy Ellis won the 8-man, like wrestling. Jimmy Ellis won the tournament.
Yeah,
but he was quickly defeated by Joe Frazier.
Gotcha.
And then there was the famous 1971 Frazier Ali match at Madison Square Garden, which Frazier won, and they had 2 rematches, but Ali was pretty much done by that point. But do you know what year he stopped fighting? Well,
he fought Holmes in 81?
80.
80, okay. And then he was done by 82, I think.
Yeah. You're right on target.
Yeah.
His last fight was against Trevor Berbick.
Oh, no.
He might have needed the money.
Yeah, Berbick probably.
But Ali, in the end, he was a 3-time world's champion.
Wow.
Floyd Patterson was a 2-time world's champion. Ali accomplished that. And then he won a 3rd bout. It's really interesting. Plus, in between, it was like Ali, then Frazier, but then George Foreman came out of left field.
Yeah.
And he was so good.
Yeah.
And these were brutal, intense matches. And one of the old reporters, as a matter of fact, it was one of the guys our friend George Napolitano mentioned, Bert Sugar.
Yeah.
He said, I couldn't even tell you. I think he's dead now, but even if it was 10 years ago, he said, I couldn't even tell you who the heavyweight champion is now.
Right.
But in the 60s and 70s and even the 80s, you knew who the heavyweight champion was.
Yeah.
And it's really a good one. You should watch it. It's on Netflix.
Absolutely. Yeah, I've heard of this. I've heard of it, and I'll take a look. I didn't realize it was on Netflix.
Yeah, Dick Cavett. I mean, he's had on, we've spoken about him before on the podcast. He had on Lennon. He had on all the great rockers, Hendrix, Bowie. Then he would go for like Truman Capote and Andy Warhol.
He was kind of the hip talk show host.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
Was he nighttime? Was he a late night
he
guy?
was an evening guy.
Okay, all right. And what channel? ABC.
He was ABC.
Okay,
Yeah. And he's still alive.
Oh, I didn't know that.
Yes.
Wow.
There's all kinds of good footage of various people on YouTube.
Amazing.
And he was a cool guy.
Yeah, very cool. Well, I got to go to a cool place. I'd never been there before.
Where was that? Did you go to the adult bookstore on Pennsylvania Avenue in Philly?
No. I went to somewhere cool, the Murphy Rec Center.
Oh, really?
Yeah, I didn't realize.
It's still there?
I didn't realize it was as close to the arena as it is. Yeah, I had the great Mary Kate Anthony in the car with me, and we were schlepping around Philly. Just we got Dunkin' Donuts for breakfast. Went to a toy store to kill some time, and then as we pulling around the arena, we went to the Dunkin' right by Tony Luke's. It was the GPS spun us around, and she goes, "Look, there's the Murphy Rec Center." So
it's
still there in all its glory. I'd never been, so it's pretty cool. And that actually is a great segue into the person that we're going to talk about today, because he wrestled there for the first time, I believe, in September of 2002. If it wasn't there, his debut there was in December of 2002 at Final Battle. And that's CM Punk.
Yeah. I mean, look, CM Punk is probably, in all due respect to ROH, in all due respect to Brock Lesnar, in all due respect to pro wrestling.
Ultraman is Black.
Ultraman is Black also. He's the number one story in pro wrestling this week. Mm-hmm. 7 years out of the business. Yeah. And but as he said in his promo, his last match in his heart and his mind was in August of 2005. Yeah, when he left Ring of Honor, and he said that
he did, and that was against our good friend Colt Cabana. We love you, Colt.
Yes,
and he comes onto the scene in 2002. How you weren't yet in an ownership role?
No,
in 2002, you would assume that later, but. Did you know of him? You were coming to the events already. Did you hear of him before then? Or
yeah, I heard of him probably through Gabe.
Okay.
And he and Colt Cabana were starting to get a bit of a name on the independents in the Midwest. Mm-hmm. And I don't know if this was the first time he wrestled in Ring of Honor. It was at the Murphy Rec Center.
Okay.
But he had done a show. He and Cabana had done a show. Must have been CZW.
3PW. Mary Kate.
Maybe it was Jersey All Pro.
Mary Kate told me the story. He did a show at the arena with 3PW
during the day
and walked down the street
right
to the Murphy Rec Center. Yeah, and that's September of 2002.
That's when I met Cabana.
Okay,
and I met Punk.
Wow.
And my first memories of them. They were good. Mm-hmm. And I remember talking to Cabana, not Punk, after the matches. And somehow I brought up music. Mm-hmm. And this is 2002 or 3.
Yeah.
And it's funny, like, I don't know how it came up, but rock and roll and music, the love of music came up. And Cabana had, I'm mentioning like Led Zeppelin, Pink Floyd.
He's not a music guy.
Know.
Not a music guy.
No. And, but that's okay. And then quickly, Cabana, Punk, and a number of other guys became regulars in Ring of Honor. And Punk got hot quick.
Yeah.
He really did.
Yeah.
And Samoa Joe was very hot. Mm-hmm. And I remember my first real good conversation or my first real conversation with Punk. He was doing this. Let me rephrase this. He was saying that he was straight edged. Mm-hmm. And at the time, I was heavily into my recovery and I had close to 5 years clean.
Wow.
And we were in Boston. Mm-hmm. And I went up to Punk. It was after the show, or it might have been during the show, whatever. But it was just he and I. And I said, "Hey, man, I didn't really understand what straight edged was." Mm-hmm. So I thought, hey, I'm straight. I go, I've been clean for 5 years.
Oh.
He goes, "Congratulations, man." He goes, I've been clean for 26 years. Well, he was 26. So he explained to me what the straight edge lifestyle is. And I said, well, I said, you never drank? You never smoked a joint? You never did anything? He said, Cary, my father was a really bad alcoholic. And I saw that, and that was sort of what propelled me not to drink, not to do any drugs. He was around pro wrestling, and he saw all kinds of stuff with pills and powders and every damn thing.
Yeah.
And steroids and so on and so forth. But with the help of, with the help of him growing up in a bad environment, or what he thought was a bad environment, or probably was a bad environment, he chose not to take that path, and he stayed that way. That was my first really good conversation with him.
Oh.
And he and I, we were never buddy, but we could bullshit a little. And early in his tenure, like 2003 and a half or four, sort of around the change with me owning the company, he was the head trainer.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. He was the head trainer at the dojo for Ring of Honor in Bristol.
Gotcha. Wow. I didn't realize it dated back that far. Okay.
Yes. And he was eventually succeeded by Austin Aries.
Gotcha.
But Punk was there. But yeah, so Punk was around. And when I looked at these dates of when he left, it seems to me like he was around
way longer.
Yes.
Right? Yeah.
Like a decade.
Right.
But he wasn't. He was only there. I think did he come back in 2006?
For the Unscripted.
How did we pull that off?
The snowstorm. You briefly talked about it. You didn't really go into detail at all, but maybe we can save that for the end if you're.
Well, you'll have to remind me. Because wasn't he in WWE?
He was, yeah. There was a snowstorm and him and Maria showed up. And there was TNA had pulled talent out, if I'm remembering correctly, because of whatever. They wanted them to be at their pay-per-view, and which is, I think, a reasonable move if they had them under contract. So they didn't let some folks fly in, and he had to drive somewhere for WWE, and I think he showed up, didn't he? Isn't that's how the story goes?
Well, when I was doing my research tonight, and thinking that his last match was in August of 2005, something popped up that he was in a Ring of Honor show in 2006.
Yeah.
Maybe you'll want to look in the, as some of our friends say, the Google machine.
Yeah, I believe that's unscripted.
Because I just can't see that he would be allowed to wrestle.
I think you pulled off a miracle, Cary. I think, which is interesting because, and I'll look that up. I believe it was either Unscripted or Unscripted 2, as the listeners who are dedicated Ring of Honor fans are yelling at the they're currently yelling at the Unscripted 2. It was February 11th, 2006. He would have at the time been under contract with WWE. He teamed with Bryan Danielson to beat Adam Pearce and Jimmy Rave.
I wonder how that happened.
Yeah.
We'll have to ask Jeff Schwartz. I don't.
Are you kayfabing me because you can't give the details?
Okay. I mean, we've spoken about this a lot. I don't look at these things through a fan's perspective. I was just in the soup.
Right.
While all this was going on.
Well, let's talk about being in the soup. When did you realize that he might have other options in 2005?
Well, it happened quick.
Yeah.
There was the trilogy with Samoa Joe.
Right, which is on Ring of Honor's YouTube. You can watch
Good.
at least the first one for absolutely free.
And those matches were helped, Band-Aid and save the company. And Joe left.
Right.
For TNA.
Dropped the title to Austin Aries, that final battle.
And Punk stayed, but in the spring of 2005, the word was he was, it wasn't like he wasn't going to lie to us. He had offers, WWE had given him an offer.
Yeah.
So Maybe you have the date. It was in Morristown, New Jersey.
Yeah, that's June 18th, 2005. So that's about a week after I graduated high school.
Okay. Yeah, so June 18th, 2005. And here's the thing. It was, everyone knew that he had signed.
Yeah.
Everyone thought he was leaving immediately. So in Morristown, it was Punk against Aries, right?
Yeah.
And it was also, this has never been told before.
Okay.
The same weekend that this happened was the first time since 1932. What could I be?
I'm scratching my head.
You're a baseball fan.
Jimmy Fox. I don't know.
It was the first time the Chicago Cubs had come to Yankee Stadium.
Wow.
Since the 1932 or 31 or 33 World Series.
Oh, so this is predestined to be a big
Punk
weekend.
Was
huge Cubs fan.
Huge Cubs fan. And I knew what was going on behind the scenes. And you believe this? WWE gave him like an 8-week grace period.
Really?
Yes.
To wrap everything up.
Yep.
Amazing.
So at the time, I don't think they would do that now, but at the time it was, all right, you're signing with us, you're with Ring of Honor. All right, you got 2 months, finish up with them and come on over.
Wow.
So the fans knew that he was leaving.
Yeah.
We knew he was leaving, but very few knew that he had another 60 days.
Wow. Okay.
So, all right, Gabe. Hello, Gabe. Gabe booked this perfectly.
Yeah.
And so in Morristown, Punk defeats Austin Aries, which no one expected.
Right.
Christopher Daniels got involved in the end of the match. But the only people that knew this, and I don't even think, maybe Gabe knew, myself, Punk, his, not his girlfriend, but this lady friend of his from Chicago, I forget her name, she was hanging out. So what was going to happen was Punk, we had talked about this a couple of weeks before, because Punk is like, hey, listen, man, I'll pay you. He goes, I don't want, he goes, you think we could get tickets for the Cubs game on Sunday afternoon?
Oh, wow.
The show is on a Saturday in Morristown.
Yeah.
I'm like, yeah. I said, I'll go. I'll go with you guys. So what we did was at the show, 1, 2, 3, Punk wins. Holy shit.
Yeah.
And he rolls out of the ring, does whatever he has to do with Daniels, and rolls out of the ring again and runs out the front door. The front door. And I, at the table, go to the back, and Punk, his lady friend, in their car, and myself in my car, I'm like, follow me. And we hopped on 287.
Wow.
And we went up to Route 80.
Okay.
And we went over the GW.
Yeah.
And we had rooms. I had 2 rooms at the Sheraton on 53rd and 7th.
Oh, wow. Okay.
And I'll post it for when we put up this episode. There's a classic picture in the parking lot of the Sheraton. Punk is still in his trunks with the Ring of Honor belt. And we were at the hotel by like, I don't know, midnight.
Yeah.
And we were at the Carnegie Deli eating big corned beef and pastrami sandwiches. Yes.
That's awesome.
Yeah. And no one knew where we were except Gabe. Nobody knew.
That's incredible.
So the next day, Sunday, we went to Yankee Stadium. It was a day game. And we had great seats.
Yeah.
Now, this is before tickets were expensive then, but it was still before they had these $800 bullshit.
I mean, that would have been going into my freshman year of college. And I was there, and I used to be able to get in for $8 in the bleachers. I mean, yeah. So
we had really good seats. And it sort of annoyed me because this was in the days of the message boards.
Oh,
There was no Twitter.
yeah.
There was no Instagram.
Yeah.
Was there Facebook yet? I don't know.
Facebook. Yeah, I was on Facebook by then.
But there were these wrestling message boards.
I was
They
probably
were
on
blowing up. And we're sitting like 5 rows from the field
Wow.
between the Cubs dugout
Yeah.
and the screen. I mean, perfect seats.
Yeah.
And Punk was engaged in his phone.
Oh.
Whatever.
Yeah.
You know,
Well, he was probably. I mean, that's primitive text messaging area. He was probably getting messages from
he
everybody.
was just because no one knew where he was.
Oh,
He might have been getting messages.
Yeah. Yeah.
But he was looking at the message boards.
Interesting.
Yes.
Wow.
And when the game was over, I took them down to Angelo's, our beloved Angelo's on Mulberry Street.
Never got to
no
go.
longer there.
Yeah.
And it was just a beautiful spring, summerish day.
Mhm.
And we went down to Angelo's. And after dinner, I took off. The next day, they had flights back to Chicago.
Mhm.
And little did anyone know it was going to be the summer of Punk.
Right. Yeah. And you mentioned 60 days. He has one successful title defense, if I'm not mistaken, against Christopher Daniels.
Well,
At least one.
on July 8th, which
Mhm.
was the next match, it was in Long Island. And Punk defeated our good friend Jay Lethal.
Oh, that's right.
Yes.
Oh, my goodness.
And the next day was in New York City. And Punk defeated Roderick Strong.
Really?
Yes.
Okay.
That was
Wow.
July 9th.
I don't remember that one.
And July 16th was in Connecticut at Woodbridge, Connecticut. And Punk defeats Jamie Gibson.
Oh, but that's interesting because I don't want to spoil anything, but I think the next match,
That's all right.
I think James Gibson's in the next match. It's a 4-way, right?
Well, it wasn't the very next match.
Okay.
But the next day was in Philly.
Mm-hmm.
The title of the DVD was The Homecoming.
Okay.
And Punk and Daniels Christopher Daniels was a 60-minute draw.
That's the one I remember being on the message boards, and that's when everybody, at least the ones that I was on, everybody thought Daniels was going to win the championship.
Well, there's more.
Wow. This is why it felt like it. I mean, all of these matches, and I remember logging onto the message boards, hitting refresh to see if anybody had posted the results of the matches as they were happening.
Well, the title changed hands on August 12th in Dayton.
Yeah. And the 4-way, right?
No, it was, you're right.
Yeah.
It was an elimination match with Jamie Gibson / Noble beating Punk, Samoa Joe, and Daniels to win the Ring of Honor title.
Wow.
Which left him the final chapter, as it was called by the DVD. And that was at Chicago Ridge.
Yeah.
And it was Punk against Cabana.
2 out of 3 falls, right?
Yes.
Yeah.
And it was. Listen, he pointed this out. He verbalized it on his promo the other night.
Mm-hmm.
August 13th, 2005 was his last real match in pro wrestling.
Do you remember the discussions with Gabe at all? You know, I'm sure Punk comes to you and says, "Hey, Cary, you know, I appreciate everything, but I got a shot in New York." Do you know if he let Gabe know at the same time? Were you in the same room?
Yeah.
Okay. When that happens, does the light bulb go off in Gabe's head right away? Does he come to you and say, "Cary, I got something crazy"?
No.
Okay.
I think the thing stewed.
Yeah.
You know, we got lucky with that.
60-day window.
Yes, we got very lucky with that.
It seems like it was kind of a change of course. It seems like you caught lightning in a bottle. Do you know what the plans for Austin Aries were intended to be moving forward? Because Jamie Noble, James Gibson, that also seemed like it was lightning in a bottle, where he becomes available around the same time, and you strike with that. So it seems like this might not have been the original plan. Do you remember if there was? Did Gabe fill you in on what he was thinking before that?
We knew Aries was. Didn't Aries beat Samoa Joe?
He did at Final Battle, I believe. Yeah.
So Aries already.
He's top of the mountain.
Right. And Jamie Noble sort of. I really can't remember exactly when he came in.
I think about this time. Let me take a look. He was not on the card where Punk wins the belt. I think, honestly, I could be wrong. I believe he comes in on the night he challenges Punk.
Okay.
I think. I can look it up real quick.
Yeah. Both these guys, Noble had some pedigree.
Right.
And Aries had proven himself. So, and then you had Daniels also.
Right.
So we had plenty of contenders.
And Daniels did you know if Gabe ever had Daniels penciled in to win the title at all? He feels like a guy that always came up. And it was so exciting when we were in Vegas. That was my first pay-per-view when he did it. But he seemed like the guy that was always just a fingertip away.
I don't know what Gabe was, thinking with him. All I knew was Daniels was always solid.
Yeah. So James Gibson comes in February, actually, 2005.
Okay.
And he's wrestling pretty consistently. He comes in, beats Spanky, Puma, beats Rocky Romero. His first title match is actually against Aries, faces Aries twice for the title. So he actually had a couple shots. He had 3 shots before he won the title. So that's interesting. And then he's out in October of the same year. So kind of
the attrition rate was tremendous.
Well, that was another question. I mean, TNA gets the Spike TV deal around then. So WWF in the fall goes from Spike to USA. TNA gets on Spike shortly thereafter, and they're on TV. They're pretty visible. They've been on Fox Sports Net, but Spike feels different. Was there anything that, how did you commit to guys? What was the commitment like? I guess what I'm trying to ask. Could you take someone like Christopher Daniels at his word, or somebody that you knew had other options?
I was too. In retrospect, I was too lenient with these guys. Whether it was Nigel, whether it was Bryan Danielson, whether it was this guy or that guy. If somebody had an opportunity, not necessarily with TNA, but a WWE tryout,
sure,
I would let them go.
Yeah.
And even though they were under contract, and I think they appreciated that. And
sure. Because
it was very few cases of guys just trying to break out of the contract, and or else just leaving. It was a decent amount of respect both ways.
Yeah, because Spanky was maybe one of the first.
Right.
He got picked up right away.
Yes.
It felt like. And then Paul London as well.
Paul London also.
Yeah.
So after the ball game and the summer of Punk and ending in Chicago, Punk was gone, and Ring of Honor was, I don't want to say none the worse for wear, but we forged on. And so I get this big package at my house, my office, my house.
Yeah.
A month or so after, maybe a few weeks after the Chicago. And I still have it in my office.
Really?
Maybe I'll post it. It was a nice note from Punk.
Wow.
And thanking me, and included in the package was a nice Chicago Cubs jersey. Like a pro style jersey.
Wow.
Which I still have.
Wow.
And he was a gentleman.
Yeah.
He was a good guy.
Yeah. is he the type of guy that, I don't mean to pry too personal. Do you keep up to keep up with him? I mean, I know
Not really.
You've told me a story that I don't think I can share publicly, but do you, every now and again, every couple of months?
Yeah. Once in a blue moon, I'll text him and he'll respond.
Mm-hmm.
And
that's great.
A couple of years ago, I called him.
I remember that.
Yes.
That was actually the one that I didn't know if I could bring up or not, and
Yeah, I called. Look, we could talk about it a little. It's okay.
Sure.
I mean, there's a possibility of him coming back to Ring of Honor.
I remember that.
And I put him in touch with the powers that be, and the powers that be told me at this time it just wasn't a mutually beneficial situation.
Yeah.
So that's it.
Yeah.
But yeah, he's always been stand-up guy. All these older guys, he, Samoa Joe, Nigel,
Colt,
they've always, communicated.
Yeah.
Claudio, Brian,
Hero,
yeah. Tyler, Spanky, We've had, and Daniels too. We've had good communication over the years, and that's all you want out of life.
Were you ever worried he was just going to walk out to WWE with the belt and maybe drop it in a trash can, Punk? I mean,
nah,
okay,
no. He wasn't going to do that.
Nothing like that.
No, I didn't think that way.
Yeah,
and honestly, I just did. Now that you're mentioning that,
yeah.
I didn't even think of that.
No, okay.
It just was. He was a man of his word, and that was it.
Do you remember who came up with him signing his contract on the belt? That's one of the more famous.
It's probably Gabe.
Gabe, okay.
Yeah.
That was a cool wrinkle. So, there's a real nice picture of Punk in a sport coat that you have.
I bought him that.
Really? Okay.
Right in your favorite store, Macy's at Lehigh Valley Mall.
I thought you were going to say the Playtime Boutique. He was
living out at the time. I think he was staying with Hero.
Okay.
Or maybe temporarily.
Yeah.
Hero lived out by Reading.
I remember that. Yeah, because they were here a lot for Chikara.
And I told him, I said, dude, you got to get a suit.
Yeah.
Because I don't have a suit. And we went to Macy's.
Wow.
And we ate some sushi, and I got him a suit, and it was purple.
Really?
That was his choice.
I always thought it was black.
Shade. It was sort of sharp.
Nice.
It wasn't too gaudy.
I'll have to look a little closer at the photo. That's pretty cool. Did he have a hand in picking Jamie Noble as the next champion? No, that was a Gabe
not
call.
At all.
Okay. And did he have any reservation about winning the title, knowing he was on the way out?
No, he wanted that.
Okay.
He knew it was going to be a surprise, and everyone thought he was not going to win the title.
Right. Yeah.
So that was good. That building in Morrison is Morristown.
Morristown, yeah.
Morristown, New Jersey.
The Menon Sports Arena.
Yeah, I wonder if it's still there.
Ooh, I haven't been to Morristown in a bit. Right off of 287.
Right. Conveniently located.
Right by Flemington Fur.
It's up. It's
up further. Yeah, up further.
But yeah, that was perfect. It was like a Hamburg Fieldhouse style.
Oh yeah. What was your favorite Punk moment beyond the summer of Punk? Was it the Joe matches? Was it the Raven? I mean,
the Raven thing was a disaster.
Okay.
Because,
tell me more, because that's very fondly remembered.
Well, not the cross.
Oh, wow. The cage match. Yes. Yeah. When we re-aired on YouTube, there's no cross.
Right. That was Gabe. That was a Gabe idea. And I understand that, Boston is old school Irish Catholic, but these are pro wrestling fans. Mm-hmm. So the two things didn't compute to be, a problem. Yeah. But it was. And after that, we got tossed. We had more buildings in Boston. Braintree. Dorchester.
The BU building. Right. Yeah.
Oh gosh, there's a number of other ones.
Lowell, which is not even Boston.
Right. But yeah. What was my favorite moment? I don't know. He had a lot of great matches. The first match with Samoa Joe in Dayton.
Okay.
And that was right fresh off me having full ownership.
Tell me what that meant to you, because you're buying in, and I remember seeing, oh, this guy did this. This guy, not Punk, but the guy that formerly owned the company. This guy did this. And as a fan, it's kind of like, oh, I don't know if I can support them.
It was right. And I had to explain things to some of these wrestlers who really didn't know me that well.
Mm-hmm.
We're talking Homicide.
Okay.
We're talking Low Key.
Yeah.
We're talking the early staples of Ring of Honor.
Mm-hmm.
They really weren't sure who I was.
Mm-hmm.
And the thing was not just the gentleman who got in trouble, but his buddy Doug was defrocked.
Gotcha.
Because of this.
Mm-hmm.
And they weren't sure. So we just sort of had to tell them, look, it's going to be business as usual.
Mm-hmm.
But they're looking at it like, well, this isn't business as usual. Who are you?
Right.
Even though I'd been around. So Punk and Joe had that match in Dayton, which was the first 60-minute draw.
Right.
And about 30 minutes into the match, you've been in that building, right?
I have.
Fairgrounds?
Yeah, it's circular.
Remember that little balcony?
Yeah. Oh, yeah. You
probably never went up there.
I didn't, but I'm thinking of Columbus with the circular. The balconies, I've watched AJ Styles from there. Bobby Cruz pooped his pants in that building in 2015. Yes.
That's not hard.
That's not.
It's only like one bath.
There is. And Judge Jeff Jones had to tell him that it was full and that he couldn't go. So
I remember one time having to sneak Roderick Strong into the ladies' room.
Yeah, you got to do what you got to do.
Yeah, it's bad scene for bathrooms. But about 40 minutes into that match, Gabe, the crowd was on its feet. Mm-hmm. And Gabe says to me, I think we got some, I don't forget his quote, but something like this. I think we got something going on here. This is good.
Yeah.
Look at this. And he was right. And that was the first of the 3 Punk Joe trilogies.
Yeah.
And maybe we'll talk about that more next week. But that was, as I said earlier, was a key component to making Ring of Honor, blowing the stink off us. And as we've talked about numerous times, it took 6-9 months for us to sort of get away from that. And thanks to guys like Joe, thanks to guys like Punk, thanks to guys like Nigel, Homicide,
Brian.
And eventually, right within that time, Ricky Steamboat coming in.
Right.
And Mick Foley coming in. And of course, Brian Danielson.
Yeah.
And we were off and running. And here we are in 2021.
Amazing. It's going to be the 20th anniversary next year.
I know.
Did you think you'd get to 20?
We didn't think we'd get to, no, we didn't think we'd get to 20.
So that's an incredible story. And we could pick it up next week because I get a lot of questions. TNA at the time,
they weren't very nice.
I was going to say, and was it Jerry Jarrett? But was it
Jeff Jarrett?
Okay.
And I've seen him since then,
and he's a great guy.
Apologized,
and he gave me a big hug. He says he watches us, loves it. He watches the poster of the week on ad free shows. So yeah,
yeah. And they at the time.
We can save this for next week.
Yeah,
too.
let's save it for next week.
Yeah, because I'm interested because Jeff, by all accounts, is a different person now than he was then.
He is.
And, I met him and he recalled 3 years ago, oh, yeah, you're the announcer for All In. And Scott Steiner was throwing your kid around in the green room and this and that. And at Starcast. And, oh, yeah. And, my wife came over and played with your son. So he got a memory like a rat trap, like just amazing. And he recalls everything. I was very impressed. But just it seems like kind of a genuine guy now. That's happy for
yes. We could talk about that next week.
Yeah,
the whole TNA
cool
ROH
Kerfluffle.
Kerfluffle. Good word. Good word, my man.
The Colossal Tussle, as Vince McMahon wanted to call WrestleMania.
Did he?
Yeah, that was the original name. Did you?
Before we go off the air tonight, want to mention we bid adieu to the great Charlie Watts.
Yeah, what a loss. 80 years old. It's a good run.
It was a good run.
Yeah.
Out of all the Stones, he was never much associated with the debauchery of Keith Richards and Mick Jagger,
even Keith Wood
and Ron Wood. And we saw recently. We watched so many documentaries. I forget which one it was, but there was about Exile when they did Exile on Main Street. They had to leave the country, and what's that? 71. Oh yeah, that's another good one. The 1971 documentary.
Wow. Okay.
Music and what was going on, but yeah. So I mean, in 71, you had Ziggy Stardust. Who's next? McCartney and George Harrison coming out. Mm-hmm. Stones releasing Sticky Fingers in January and Exile on Main Street at the end of the year.
Wow.
Dark Side of the Moon.
Wasn't that the Doors' last album?
Thank you. Yeah. The Doors' last album. Yeah. Carole King Tapestry.
Oh, yeah, one of the best-selling albums of all time.
Joni Mitchell.
Oh, geez.
There's just so many.
That would have been Jackson Brown.
Yes, and our friend Danny Korchmar.
Oh, yeah.
My friend.
Yeah.
He was on Tapestry.
Yeah.
So, but yeah, a big part of that is the Stones in France doing Exile on Main Street.
Wow.
Because they had, they were on like a tax exile.
Huh.
And so it was better to earn money in France. Unfortunately, they were near Marseille. It wouldn't matter where they were, but they were near Marseille, and there were there was a lot of heavy drugs around. Mm. So my point was going to be, Charlie Watts was never spoken about.
Right.
With, the guy that played sax, Bobby Keys, mm-hmm. He was Keith Richards' buddy, mm-hmm. and of course Keith. And oh damn it, what's her name? Anita Pallenberg.
Oh, okay.
And Mick.
Yeah.
They were running amok.
Yeah.
But Charlie Watts was never really spoken about. Maybe he was. Who the hell knows? But he had a good life.
Yeah.
When he wasn't announced on being with the Stones, if they do play this 11 or 12 city fall tour,
right?
I think they knew he was sick.
Yeah.
So, but yeah, one of the great rock drummers.
Yeah. What a full life. I mean, to see the things that he's seen, to play in front of the crowds he's played in front of, and to
he's one of the only men who ever punched out Mick Jagger.
Really?
Because one time Mick Jagger, years way back, said, drunk, he go, "Where the fuck's my drummer?" and he heard him. He was in another room. He heard him, and he's like, "Yeah." And he left his room and he knocked on Jagger's door, and Jagger opened the door. He goes, "Where the fuck's my singer?" Bam!
Wow, good for him.
Yeah,
good for him.
So yeah, Charlie Watts. God bless you, man.
Amazing. Yeah. Well, rest in peace, Charlie Watts, and. I saw the Stones were going to go on tour again. I'm a little surprised.
Yes.
So, wow. I got the Mick Jagger biography. It's on my Kindle. I haven't read it yet.
Okay.
I just bought the Pat Lepard Montreal book.
Okay.
And I started digging into that. One. It's great. And I want to talk about my big purchase.
Oh,
real
yeah.
quick. Yeah, before we go off the air. Gorgeous George authenticated autograph. He signed it in two places, Cary. It's kind of wild. It's a 1949 run sheet. So
this is like a booking sheet.
It's like a booking sheet. It just explains from the promoter to the venue who to advertise and the stipulations of the match. It's kind of, or maybe the promoter had it to.
Is Hogs Willie Gilzenberg?
No, it doesn't list the promoter. I don't think it's Jacques Pfeffer. I don't think it's any of the Goldust Trio. But it is from New York City, and it's from Brooklyn, and it's pretty cool. And it's the Flair steamboat of its day. It's Gorgeous George versus Baron Michel Leone.
That's awesome.
Yeah, and Baron signed it too, and that's authenticated. And it says the authentication sheet for PSA says 7 signatures. It lists who they are, and 1 unknown. We figured out who the unknown is.
Who's that?
It's the Green Hornet, which was Goon Jim Henry.
He was in
the 55 and 5.
Right.
Yeah. So that was another one of the aliases. It says Jim Henry. And then on top of it, I could tell it said GH. I thought it was maybe Goon Henry, but other people pointed out it was Green Hornet.
Well, Sarah, I will donate money for your children's food.
I got it for a song.
He squanders his money on eBay.
I had a notable wrestling podcaster offer me 2.5 times the amount when I showed it to him.
Hold on to it.
It's a priceless item as far as I'm concerned.
That same notable podcaster is interested in the original Ring of Honor belt.
Yes.
Which has no price on it.
Yeah, that's you're lucky you got it back from Bobby Cruz.
Yes.
It is ours. So, oh boy, we love you, Bobby.
Yes. Well, listen, man, it was a good one. And we wish Punk the best.
Absolutely.
He was always good to me, and he helped keep, as so many people did. Mm-hmm. Cary, you saved Ring of Honor. Well, I had a lot of help from a lot of people.
Yeah.
Including Gabe.
Yeah.
Including Joe, Nigel, the aforementioned names.
Colt. Yeah.
And Chris Hero and Roddy and this one and that one and you too.
Oh, geez. I'm just extending the legacy. I hope to see Chris Hero wrestle again. That'd be nice.
I thought I would see him.
I thought so too. I got my fingers crossed.
All right.
Yeah. So we'll see where that lays out. Hey, our next live event for Ring of Honor was September 12th. TV, we saw the women's tournament continue. Roxy, Miranda Alizé, we got Angelina and Max the Impaler. That's going to be a heck of a bout. We also have Trisha Dora wrestling Allison Kay. It's going to be, 2 of those 4 women will advance. Going to be a heck of a tournament. And looking forward to see Shane Taylor Promotions go against La Faction and Gobernable on TV in an 8-man, and then at the pay-per-view in a 6-man for the belts.
A lot of good action upcoming.
Hot action coming your way. Well, I want to thank you for listening this week. I want to thank AJ, our producer from Basan Creative.
Subscribe, please.
Yeah.
Leave us a comment.
Please. And next week, we're going to be talking about 2004. When the 60-minute draw, we can talk about
that. Was a rough year.
You know what? Maybe if AJ can hook us up, we can go on maybe my Twitch stream and live stream it and maybe do a watch along.
Maybe we can.
We'll see what we can do. And then we can record that. We can put that out and we can talk about the 2004 in general, the landscape.
Sounds good, my man.
All right. Well, thank you so much for listening this week on Last Stop Penn Station. For AJ, for Cary, I'm Ian Riccaboni. Happy wrestling, everybody.
For listening to Last Stop Penn Station podcast. Rate, review, like, subscribe, and share on your favorite platform. Connect with us on Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter, or at laststoppennstation.com.